Mike Redeemer here. Be a warrior, not a warrior. Amen. I'm going to do another reading. This time I'm going to read from the second book in the series, The Angry Prophet. And this is chapter 22, Mama, I'm Coming Home. It's about a character named Simon who goes through the books with his own character arc. Not the main character, but a very close second. And basically, the setup for this chapter is that he just had kind of an ambush while meeting some people to set up his big plan of domination of the nation at some point, and everything kind of backfired on him, and he ends up retreating and climbing into a railroad car. And this chapter is about his experience on the way back to Kansas City from Texas in that railroad car. I'm going to start with a couple of scripture verses at the top of the page. Yeah, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalms 147:3. And the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalms 34:18. Chapter 22, Mama, I'm Coming Home. Northbound train car somewhere in Oklahoma. Time unknown. Simon's conscious mind returned to him. It began with the musky smell of coal and grease, a damp and oily stench that overwhelmed his nostrils. This was followed by the feeling of a high humidity and a bright electric light that cast a harsh ray over one of his closed eyelids. He awoke He awoke and blinked several times, his eyes adjusting to the shadowy images that appeared before him. He wasn't sure if the figure of a man he could see a few feet away from him was real or not. The form moved to and fro, as if working busily on some project that existed on the far end of the train car. Then he heard an odd screeching sound, followed by a mild vibration. It repeated and repeated, over and over. It sang. Clack, ca-clack, ca-clack, like a pentameter, back and forth, back and forth. He remembered when she tried to teach him to harmonize in song as she played the piano next to him. They were in college together. She was so graceful, so beautiful, a rare beam of light in an ever-darkening world. Ca-clack, ca-clack, tick-tick, tick-tick. Suddenly, he was in a well-lit grayish room. A small room. Padded, soundproof panels hung from the walls. There was a piano. Someone sat down at it and began to play in time with the recurring noise. It was her. You have a good voice, she said. Yeah, I want to have a band someday. We'll see. You don't sound so sure. You shouldn't give up on things before you even start, you know. Well, I have other ideas too. Other things I may need to do. Like what? Oh, nothing. Where did we leave off? You can talk to me, Simon. It's okay. This is just one assignment, and we have plenty of time. No, I have other things to do tonight. Let's just get this done and over with. She looked down at the keys, a slight sadness appearing in her eyes as she began to focus on the sheets of music before her. Okay, she said. Let's begin again at the top then. Ca-clack, 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 ca-clack. A train. I'm on a train, I think, he thought to himself. I have to get up. Her face appeared in his mind's eye again. She was wearing the soft plaid shirt over the white turtleneck sweater, her long auburn hair flowing as she spoke. I know this is just a minor for you, but music is my major. I think you should consider changing yours. History is such a depressing subject. She smiled and looked down for a moment and back up again at him. They were sitting on a low stone wall this time, on one side of the campus quad. Her hair glowed in the light of the afternoon. It was autumn. I'm good at history. It suits me. I enjoy it. Oh, you do you? A bright, flawless smile formed through her lips. It was an incredible thing to behold up close. She never wore makeup. She didn't need it. He felt a familiar pain in his heart. A real pain, but not a heart attack. Like someone had stuck a knife straight into his chest and twisted it. For an instant he wondered if it was part of the memory, part of his emotional resistance that had left him the way he was so many years later. Then the horrid dull peals began to spread across his chest and throughout the entire lower half of his body. Like an intense fire, they spread steadily but surely through his very core. When it seemed like he could no longer tolerate the torment, he felt it go up his throat and into his skull, ultimately stopping somewhere behind his eyes before it finally began to recede. He opened his eyes. He was back in the real world again. Still here, Shotgun. I'm still here, he said to himself. His vision cleared and all came into focus, but he was still a little groggy, and the space he was in seemed to slowly tilt from one side to another. The man was still there, moving things around on the other side of the container they were both in. Wait, this isn't a room. It's a train car, of course, he thought again. He had been sat up against a few large bags of something agricultural. What exactly he couldn't tell. The wooden floor was covered in dirt. Artificial lights shone through the spaces between the closed sliding doorway. He heard a sound of sliding boxes. The figure was moving things around. Hey you, Simon said to him. He was surprised at the low sound of his own voice. He could barely hear himself speak. Only a moment earlier he had been singing in a practice room. He could have sworn his voice was strong and clear. He tried again. Hey! He was only slightly louder this time. From your stomach, moron, he thought. Project from your stomach, not your shoulders. You know how to project your voice, don't you? He took a deep breath through his nose and let his diaphragm below his lungs expand. The effort made him hurt all over. Then he released. Hey! He shouted again. This time he managed to get the man's attention. The shadowy figure stopped pushing one of the crates he had been leaning into, crossed over to his side of the car, and kneeled down next to him. You should be resting, he said. The voice was rich, deep, and sure. Simon noted that he sounded like a baritone. I used the first aid kit you had on you. I've had to help people heal before. Never thought I would find myself patching up a celebrity, though. Where? Simon took another breath and projected his voice from his stomach again. Where are we going? I thought you knew. I thought that's why you chose this train car to climb into. Kansas City is where we are headed. Isn't that where you're from? Yes, yes now. Not originally, though. Thank you. You're welcome. You've done a lot for others. I think I'll help you out so you can keep doing what you do. It's the least I can do. Anyway, here, have some water and then get some more sleep. We won't be there for a while yet. The man reached into some kind of cloth satchel that was on his side and took out a disposable plastic water bottle. He opened it up and placed it into Simon's right hand. You can lift it yourself, can't you? Are you in pain? Yes and yes, Simon said. He took several swallows. When he was done, the man put the cap back on it for him, and Simon lowered his arm so that it rested on the wooden floor. He nodded. Thanks again. Hey, maybe you shouldn't be moving right now. I'm fine, Simon said. Always fine. Always, he thought. He shook his head and kept from fainting. Pain is just another part of existence, he said, his voice straining on the last word. I learned that fact a long time ago and trained my mind to be an observer of the pain rather than a participant. I still feel it, but it doesn't affect me. Not enough to stop me from doing what I need to anyway. Rest. You are safe here with me. Simon nodded once more and closed his eyes. He reappeared without missing a beat. Or she reappeared without missing a beat. She was dancing. They were at some event. There was a band singing about something being bitter and sweet at the same time. He remembered. It was the time that he noticed how she ignored men that were far better looking and from greater means than he was. She chose him that night to spend time with. The colored lights from the stage moved around the crowd as if choreographed, like the moment was meant to last forever. In his head, to be replayed again and again. She smiled and clung to him, pulling him close to her. She was wearing a black dress. Should have kissed her that night, he thought. Slowly the music died and the repetitive sound returned. He opened his eyes again. The light that came from outside of the train car was gone. He could see the stars through the boards on the side of the car. The pain around his chest returned. It's just pain, Simon. Your pain is not you. It's just pain. It is out there. You are not. He leaned forward and pulled his right leg under himself. And while holding his left side with both hands and pushing through the pain, he focused his mind, stood up, on both legs and steadied himself. "Oh, you're awake again." His caretaker's voice could be heard across the open container car. Simon couldn't quite make out exactly where it was coming from, though as there was little to no light within it. "Who are you? What is your name?" Simon asked in the darkness. "I can do things for you, you know, for helping me out. It looks like you did a pretty good job stopping the bleeding." "I'm no one," the voice said. "I am curious," Simon arranged. "Why do you do what you do?" "Me?" Simon said, still searching the dark for his invisible helper. I guess I couldn't think of anything better to do." "I meant, what made you start on this path, the one that led to your helping so many?" "That's easy," Simon said. "I studied history and noticed that I was seeing some things that were coming down the road that others weren't." "Yeah, like what?" "Like the economy collapsing, the rise of certain foreign powers and other players that would eventually try to strip America of everything it stood for, given enough time. Social and political strife. I even saw this hypnotic war coming, and the internet long before it hit, along with the pandemics. They all started right around the time I expected them to. So I got mentally ready for what was coming. Too bad no one else did." "You didn't try to warn anyone?" the formless voice asked. Simon laughed, causing him to wince a little from the pain on his side. "When I tried to tell people, they would just ignore me and say, 'What was it back then?' 'Oh yeah, stop harshing my mellow,' or something like that. Most people are willfully clueless, as it turns out." I had to factor that unfortunate truth into my plans as well. "Well, it's true that most people live in their own little worlds. It is too bad, really," the voice said. "It's worse than bad. Most of them can't see farther than their own noses, their own needs. I estimate that up to 20% could be cajoled into committing atrocities against people they don't like or don't understand just because they were told lies about the other group and chose to believe those lies. Also, they themselves could continue to feel safe by fitting in with those currently in power. They are all cowards as far as I'm concerned. Yet you help them. You have done a lot of good, haven't you?" "Sure, of course I have." "But why? Why not escape? Make a life of your own somewhere else?" Simon looked down at his feet for a moment, feet that had walked a very long and lonely path to get where they were at that moment. In his mind, he could feel how fitting it was that he might finally die while on a train while heading home, sitting across from and telling his story to a person he wasn't even able to see. Because, like I said, I couldn't think of anything better to do. Emphasis on the better part, he said. He stared into the other end of the train car defiantly. "I need to make sure I get to Kansas City alive. How much longer before we get there, do you think?" Silence claimed the train car. Only the clacking of the railroad beneath them could be heard for several seconds, and then the voice returned. "There is a station in Wichita. You will need to change cars there. After that, it's maybe 4 or 5 hours to Kansas City. I am planning on heading to Topeka myself." "What's in Topeka?" Simon asked. "Just an old friend I need to see," the voice said. Simon nodded. "I've been watching you, you know," the voice continued. "I've wondered, what do you think the reason is that you've done so much for others and so little for yourself?" "Huh. I assume I haven't done a lot for myself." You assume I haven't done a lot for myself," Simon said with a smirk. "You haven't had time to," the voice stated plainly. "Tell me, why did you start your foundation and the shotguns?" The features on Simon's face began to droop downward at the question. He didn't like being interrogated, especially in his current state. He stared at the dirty and warped wooden planks that made the floor. His voice, too, lowered when he finally spoke again. "I told you. I saw all of it coming when I was still young. The pandemics, the authoritarianism, the propaganda, AI replacing jobs by the mid-20s. The internet speeding it all up. It was obvious for anyone paying attention. Even a quarter century ago, heck, even before that, when things were still good, people were getting too proud in this country without reason. They partied and did horrible things to one another and marginalized the decent people without a thought to the long-term consequences of their actions. They spent money like it was water, no air. It was only a matter of time before it was all gone. I figured we had about 20 years or so left before it all started going to pot, and I was right. I will not repeat myself again. Then don't. You still have not answered my question, though. I have a history degree. Germany was the last great nation that proudly walked itself off of a cliff. I realized America was next and decided to try to do something about it, something that would make a difference and help the good people out there. The man nodded. All right, you've told me what led you to where you are, but you still haven't told me what motivated you to do it. Pain, Simon said, a twinge of anger and recognition of his current state in his voice. I went through plenty of it. Some of it self-inflicted, some of it not. I thought we should all be working together to stop it as much as we can, to stop pain. That was then, though. Now I know most pain cannot be stopped. Not when people just keep making excuses so they can continue in their self-destructive behavior. So what now then? The voice asked. Same thing as always. I'll do my part, and then I will be done. I see. Done forever? I sure as hell hope so. I'm not interested in going to a new place after I die. I just want to rest forever. The peace of oblivion. I believe I've earned it. Are you so sure? Perhaps something else could be there after you go, something you don't expect. It never spoke to me or let itself be known if that's the case. Not that I or anyone could possibly know for sure if it ever did anyway. If you are talking about God or something, if there is one out there, it's been pretty much worthless to me so far. Maybe he's not what you think he is. Maybe he's looking after you right now. If he is, he's not doing a very good job, Simon said, letting out a pained sigh as he spoke. His right hand moved to his side. You wouldn't know if you never spoke to him about it, would you? Perhaps the plan he has us on requires that we have free will, and that is the cause of a lot of what has happened, not him. Perhaps he wants to save us from all of this. Don't you think that is a possibility too? Sure, why not? Why should I care? Simon, disinterested in the direction of that the conversation was going, allowed his head to bow down. He leaned back against the rear wall and nodded off. He dreamt again. She was there, speaking to a group of people only a few feet away from him. They were standing before a wide stage. A concert had just ended, one they had both performed in. The lights came up. People in the audience had started getting out of their seats and collecting their things. He was wearing a tuxedo. She was dressed in an elegant black dress that fit her small, delicate frame perfectly. As the crowd left the room to head home for the evening, she said her goodbyes and turned to face him. She was radiant. Her eyes sparkled. Her hair moved like a powerful wave that crashed around her neck and shoulders as she approached him. He returned her smile with his own, strong and sure. It covered the incredible fear he was feeling perfectly. When she was close enough, he softly took her right hand with his left and placed her palm over his heart. Her smile faded. Her eyes changed so that they stopped reflecting the excitement of the moment and began to show the understanding of a longing that, until then, was unknown to her. Your heart is beating so fast, Simon. Are you okay? She said to him softly. I love you, you know, he said to her. I know, she said back. Come on. She clasped her hand around his and pulled. We're going to that seafood place tonight. I heard they have lobster. Ha, okay, he said, and allowed her to drag him out into the parking lot outside. There was a car out there honking its horn. Or was that the kind of horn that trains make? But there were no trains near the opera house they had performed in that night. Clack, clack, clack. He was still in the train. The strange man was there with him. He could see him a little more that time. He was just sitting there across from him in the dark. He had a beard and loose clothes, almost like a robe. Simon figured he had wrapped himself in a blanket that he carried with him on his travels. You don't believe in God? Why? The man asked him. What? Oh, I guess I just had a messed up childhood, that's why. No, wait. The pain returned to his side again. He shifted his weight slightly in a vain attempt to ease it a bit. No, I probably still wouldn't have believed even if it wasn't. I guess I never had a reason to believe that there was anything out there that was on my side. Not the way my life went anyway. What do you mean? Did your parents not love you? Did you not have all that you needed? I did. My mother was great. if unprepared for dealing with a lot of kids at the beginning. She had it tough with us for a while. Her heart was a bit too kind, I guess. And your father? Well, let's not call him that. He was a lot of things to me, but that wasn't really one of them, though. Why? What happened? Nothing really. I mean, he was a vet with PTSD, so there was that. He would have flashbacks at night, would call my name sometimes. Was he abusive? No, not physically anyway. His parents verbally beat up on him as the youngest in his family, though, so he did the same to me. Never encouraged, just put me down all the time. Gave me less than my siblings. I was also the youngest of the kids in my family, you see. I had to learn to do everything on my own, and had a lot of bullies in school to contend with while I was growing up. My dad's ethnic upbringing didn't allow him to give help to me much either. He did come through when it was most needed, though, and I'm thankful for that. I loved him. He was basically a big kid. He never grew up, not really. He also didn't believe in self-improvement, only acquiring more cash for himself, which he was only good at to a point. He was a disappointment to you. Yeah, like everything else in my life, you could say. In the end, my life no longer mattered. Nothing was working out for me anyway. I figured I could make a difference, better than offing myself, you know? I knew I was smart, smarter than the others realized. I could get a lot done without anyone even noticing. Then, when I was ready, I could do more. The man nodded. You loved your father, though, didn't you? He gave me many good memories. Gave me the bug for traveling, made me curious about things. He was fun to be around sometimes. He wasn't my biggest problem, though. Really, what was that? Me. Many of my wounds were self-inflicted. I couldn't stop beating myself up. Hated myself for a long time. Why? The bullies, always having to fend them off until I fought back, and they stopped trying. My dad taught me to stand up to them, too. That was useful anyway. And anger formed in me sometimes around grade school. Something very righteous, overly righteous. That was from my mother's side, I think. Something that wanted the whole world to burn down. All of it. I knew what I was feeling was wrong, though. And it was bad to be thinking about how to destroy everything. I wanted to be better, so I changed my mind. I changed the plan. The plan? The foundation, the shotguns. They were the real plan B. The original plan A was, well, it wasn't very nice. You are leaving something out, aren't you? No, why would you say that? Who was the girl, Simon? Girl? What girl? There's always a girl. Oh, you mean the one I had to break up with in college because I was afraid I would harm her? That one? The one who I promised to protect always? The one that grew up and had a great life without me around to bother her because I would have it no other way? Yeah. Didn't exist. I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea at all. Simon was delirious. His eyelids started to become heavy again. He was starting to slip, letting out information that he would never have revealed to anyone. His eyes had closed, but he continued talking. You know, I used to ask myself from time to time when I was at my most depressed, which was often when I was younger, why I was doing it, going through the foundation, the volunteer army, and the whole long-term plan. I think I did it to stay on track, to not lose sight of the goal. It was like a mental exercise, something to do in order to keep my life and make it worthwhile. A survival mechanism that kept me going, kept me alive. I was creating my own purpose. But there was a woman then, the voice said. At the beginning, someone you cared about deeply. It wasn't all about ego and ambition after all. It was never about those things, Simon chuckled. That came later. No, I figured that she deserved better than me. I was angry all the time. Angry at my father, at my life, dangerous even. She deserved a better man, a better life than I could ever give her. If I couldn't be in it with her, well, at least I could try to make sure that she and the children she would have one day would be able to have a future. I knew it was coming. No one else did. I had to do whatever I could, you see. Yes, that is the truth. He loves you, you know. What? Who? Simon asked. Your father. Simon became irritated. Sorry, Bud. My father is dead. The thought made Simon open his eyes a little as he gave voice to the sad reality. The sun was coming up, and a small amount of light, enough to see the entire train car, had entered through the separated wood and metal slats on the container's sides. He scanned it for the dark form that he had been talking to all night, but the strange man was nowhere to be found. Michael Grima, The Angry Prophet, chapter 23, chapter 22. Check it out. It's on Amazon.com and at MelchizedekNovel.com. You can type my name in Amazon. It's probably easier to find, or you can just type The Angry Prophet in there. You'll find both books. It's digital copies for Kindle, physical copies, obviously. There is an AI-based audiobook, and I may be reading more from these books in the future, and I'm already working on the third book in the series. So God bless you, and put in the comments down here if you've gotten the book, or listened to it or read it, what you thought of it. I appreciate your feedback. God bless. Be a warrior, not a worrier.